Good morning. My name is Emily Anthony. I'm the Director of Military and Veteran Success here at Southeastern. I've been here for a little under 3 years. I am also currently serving in the Louisiana Army National Guard. So I have the privilege of having firsthand experience with what a lot of our students go through their military service, at least from the National Guard perspective. Our office serves all currently serving students who are in the military, as well as veterans, which are those students who used to serve in the military and are no longer serving. And we also serve a tremendous amount of students whose parents served in the military, as well as spouses. So we currently have about 600 students on campus that are using military benefits, which means some sort of funding that comes from the Department of Defense or Department of Veterans Affairs to pay for college. So there's a lot of other students on campus that are affiliated with the military, but they don't necessarily have funding available to them to help pay for college. So that number is much larger just in terms of the military population, but that's the number of people who are actually using funding from the military to pay for school. Our largest population is definitely the children of veterans. So that's the biggest number that we have. We have a little over 250 students right now this fall semester whose parents are 100% disabled by the VA. So I want to talk about a couple of different things. So the first population is our National Guard students. We have a little over 120 students right now that are attending Southeastern and are currently serving in the Louisiana National Guard, either through the Army or the Air Force. We actually have those students identified in Workday. So if you ever wanted to know if your student was serving in the National Guard, there is a way for you to look that up in Workday, and we can provide that information. But the first thing I want to mention is just that if you ever encounter a student who is serving in the military, who maybe approaches you or sends you an email to let you know that they have military duty coming up, either for a drill weekend or they have annual training or they're going to get sent on a deployment, or you have somebody submit orders to you, military orders, and you're wanting to know, are they legitimate? What do I do with this? The best thing that you can do is definitely reach out to our office if you're unsure about how you should handle a situation with a student who is potentially going to be absent for military duty. We've had a lot of professors, department heads, and deans reach out to us and ask, hey, this is the situation. What should we do about this? And I would rather people reach out to us constantly and ask for advice than make something up in order to think that maybe they're doing the right thing. I know everyone has the best of intentions, but there's a lot of policies actually in place to protect students who are serving in the military. And our whole purpose is to help you to make sure that you know exactly how to handle those students, so that you are covered and so that the student is taken care of. So please just reach out to us if you have any situation like that, and we will be happy to help. Our National Guard students do have drill weekend once a month, and they also have annual training every summer for 2 weeks. Now, some of the units have their annual training not during the summertime, but that's the exception and not the rule. And a good piece of information to know is that we do receive our schedules for duty well in advance. So we put out messaging to our students that we do not want them to sign up for classes that coincide with their annual training. So if they know that they have we get our schedules in September every year. So, and it covers all the way through September of the following year. So if my students have annual training in June, for example, I tell them that they should not sign up for the first term of classes in the summer because it's going to conflict with annual training and be very difficult for them to complete their schoolwork while they're in training. We would encourage them to sign up for term 2 classes for summer. But that's, just something to keep in mind, that they do get their schedules well in advance, except for if it's a deployment or if there's like a hurricane or something that pops up. That's a whole nother ballgame. But if that happens, if there is a storm that comes up, like a hurricane, for example, our office will notify you and your department head and the deans of all the students that are impacted by those orders to let you know that that person has been placed on duty. Another thing I wanted to mention was the kind of the financial consequences of students adding and dropping classes. once add drop period has ended. So there's a lot of different types of funding that our population of students can use to pay for school, and there's different rules associated with each of them. So one of the biggest things is that if a student withdraws from a class after add drop period ends, so it's a true withdrawal where a W is going to show up on their transcript, depending on which benefits they're using, they're going to owe money back to the Department of Veterans Affairs for dropping that class, because the VA sees it as a W does not get them credit on their transcript. And so they're going to charge them back for that class. And so the reason why it's important for you to know that is if you have a student approach you, or if you're an advisor and they approach you about wanting to drop a class, we actually have some controls put in place in Workday so that students cannot just go on and drop and it's permanent and then they find out about the financial consequences after the fact. If they try to withdraw from a class, it actually routes to my inbox in Workday and I have to approve it first before the drop becomes real. So what we do is we will reach out to that student and notify them about the financial implications of them withdrawing from that class based on the benefits that they're using. And we will engage with them in conversation before we actually approve that, before that withdrawal becomes official. So just some information about kind of the backstory on that. That is also the reason why our population of students qualifies for priority class registration, because since their benefits have a timeline on them, so they have so many months and days or so many years to use their benefits, we want to make sure that they're able to sign up for the classes that they need for their degree plan on time each semester, so that they're not being forced to spend more time here and their benefits have run out. Sometimes that happens because of different situations, but we want to make sure that we provide those opportunities to them. Another thing that I'd like to mention, just in terms of our population of students, is something that's mentioned in the Veterans on Campus training that's available on our webpage. And there's a lot of you have already completed that training. And I really, really appreciate those of you that have put the effort and the time into doing that. I think the training is very valuable. One of the things that it really hones in on is the importance of conversations that happen in classes and how the instructor, the professor, has the responsibility to manage those conversations if they get out of hand. So for example, let's say the topic comes up about, okay, a very relevant example might be that the United States is giving funding to other countries to assist them in military conflicts that are happening over where they're at. There's a few different examples of that I could give that are happening right now. And people have a lot of different opinions about that and whether or not the United States should be supporting those efforts, whether or not the United States military should be involved in those efforts. And while we all, of course, are entitled to those opinions, we just need to keep in mind that it's very likely that there is at least one person in your class who is directly impacted by those decisions. So it could be that they themselves are potentially going to be sent on a deployment to that part of the world to assist in those efforts, or perhaps their family member, maybe it's a parent or their spouse, is involved in contributing to that, or has been in the past. So we have a lot of post 9/11 veterans on campus and children of post 9/11 veterans who have been sent all over the world to support in various efforts regarding the military. And the reason why that matters is because it's something that's very personal to those students, and they may not tell you that, but they have a deeply personal connection to these deployments and service. And I think that it's just really important for us to be sensitive to that and cognizant of that, and think about the conversations that are happening in our classrooms with students so that we're respectful of those things. Because we have to remember too, at the end of the day, that the students and members of our military, when they're sent on orders to go and do something, they're following orders, whether they agree with what they're being asked to do or not. They signed up to follow orders, and we just need to keep that in mind. Our office offers a lot of different resources for students, for faculty, for staff, and pretty much anybody who comes and asks us for help. So we are located in Student Union Annex, room 2304, which is right next to student engagement. So a lot of people know that that's where they can get free Scantrons. We're also directly across from Starbucks, if that helps. And we have a computer lab, we have snacks and a coffee pot and a TV, and we invite our students to come in and spend time in there anytime that they need. And we don't just help students get their funding applied to their account to pay for college. We also assist students in finding jobs. We help them with submitting applications for VA disability ratings, teach them how to use their VA home loan if they qualify for it. We are deeply connected with the community, not just in Hammond, but in the area and across the state, and have partnerships with a lot of resources, service organizations, nonprofit organizations that provide services to the military population and to their family members. And so if you ever encounter a student who needs assistance with anything, big or small, and they're affiliated with the military in any way, we would love for you to point them our direction so that we can assist them. We are here to help our students that have funding available and also the ones who don't. So, it doesn't matter if they don't have funding available to help pay for college. If they're affiliated with the military in any way, we would love to assist them in our office and get them the services that they need. Another thing that I'd like to mention is that we have a registered student organization on campus called the Student Veterans Association, and that is open to veterans. It's open to currently serving members of the military as well as children and spouses. They've been around for a couple of years, and they hold various events throughout the year and also host tailgates at all the football games. They're also known to host a watch party for the Army-Navy football game, Go Army. And it's a great group of students. It's really just a place for them to find community. The last thing that I want to mention is the importance of students that are using military funding. It's so important that they take classes that are on their degree plan. So we have to verify every semester when we're processing their benefits whether or not their classes are on their degree plan. And so if you ever receive an email from our office asking about a particular class, it's because we were unable to locate it on their degree plan in Workday in their academic progress report. And so if you are making any substitutions for classes based on prior credit that they've had or a specific class that you all have decided that you want a student to take and it's not listed in the normal degree plan that's in the catalog, it would be extremely helpful if y'all could get that recorded in Workday, or if you have the student notify our office, because we do have to have it in writing that class is going to be given credit on their degree plan for their degree, because we get audited by the VA every 2 years at minimum. And we have to provide that proof to them that we have certified the student only for classes that they're going to get credit for their degree. An additional thing is that a student that is doing any sort of class like clinicals, for example, so nursing students that are getting a degree in teaching who are doing their student teaching modules, for example, anytime a student is taking a class that requires them to be in person for more than 18 hours in 1 week, we can certify that student based on those clock hours that they spend every week in class rather than the number of semester hours that are listed on their schedule in Workday, because a lot of times those students that are in clinicals and who are doing their student teaching, their hours in Workday do not list as full-time. So I have a lot of nursing students, for example, who have 8 hours right now on their class schedule. And that's not at full-time for normal enrollment. But because one of those classes is a clinical class, if that clinical requires them to spend more than 18 hours in 1 week in person, then we can certify them for those hours instead, the clock hours, and they will receive their VA benefits at the full-time rate. So that's something to keep in mind. We have a form that can be filled out by the professor or the department head to certify that those hours are required, and that way we can get the student their full benefit. Just to wrap things up, so again, I'm Emily Anthony. I'm the Director of Military and Veteran Success on campus. We're located in the Student Union Annex, and you can email us at veterans@southeastern.edu, and we're here to help all of our military-affiliated students, faculty, and staff.